Welcome to Uncharted History. Today, we're diving into an alternate history scenario that will challenge your understanding of the past and its far-reaching consequences. What if the Syrian Civil War never happened? Imagine a world where Syria remained stable and unified. What ripple effects would that have had on the Middle East and the world at large? In this video, we'll explore how a peaceful Syria could have reshaped regional power dynamics, impacted the Kurdish situation, and altered the roles of global superpowers like the USA and Russia. We'll also examine the potential effects on Israel and the broader Middle East. Stay tuned until the end for a quiz to test your knowledge on this fascinating alternate history scenario. Let's embark on a journey through a world that could have been. Imagine a Syria where Bashar al-Assad's government remains stable, untouched by the insurgency that sparked the civil war. In this scenario, Assad's regime could have pursued several different paths. One possibility is that without the external and internal pressures of a civil conflict, Assad may have been able to implement political reforms to maintain stability. These reforms might have included measures to improve governance, human rights, and economic policies, creating a more balanced and potentially more prosperous nation. Alternatively, the lack of a civil war might have allowed Assad to solidify his authoritarian rule further, maintaining control through strict measures without significant opposition. However, even in the absence of a civil war, Syria would not have been without its challenges. Covert opposition groups, particularly Islamist factions, could have emerged, pushing for changes from within. These groups might have sought to increase their influence covertly, leading Assad to adopt more repressive measures to maintain his grip on power. The internal dynamics of Syria would have been complex, with Assad navigating between maintaining stability, addressing internal dissent, and responding to the changing regional landscape. The absence of the civil war would have provided a different set of challenges and opportunities for the Syrian government, shaping the country's future in a unique way. In a Syria free from the turmoil of civil war, the Kurdish ambitions for self-rule would have taken a different course. The Kurds, historically marginalized, seized the opportunity during the civil war to establish their autonomous region of Rojava in northern Syria. Without the conflict, the Kurdish quest for autonomy or even independence would have faced distinct challenges. Under Assad's stable regime, Kurdish demands for self-rule might have been swiftly suppressed, maintaining the status quo of centralized control. Alternatively, the absence of war could have opened avenues for peaceful negotiation, potentially leading to a negotiated settlement that granted some level of autonomy to the Kurdish regions while keeping them under Syrian sovereignty. The regional dynamics surrounding the Kurdish issue would also have been significantly different. Turkey, deeply concerned about Kurdish independence movements near its borders, might have adopted a more proactive stance. Without the civil war, Turkey could have engaged in diplomatic efforts or even military actions to prevent the rise of Kurdish autonomy in Syria. This could have strained Syria-Turkey relations, leading to heightened tensions or even direct confrontations. On the other hand, a stable Assad regime might have managed to navigate these pressures through strategic alliances and concessions, avoiding conflict and maintaining regional stability. The Kurdish situation, therefore, stands as a critical element in understanding the broader implications of a Syria without civil war. In the absence of the Syrian Civil War, regional powers such as Turkey, Iran, and Iraq would have had distinct reactions to maintain their interests and influence in the Middle East. Turkey's primary concern has always been the prevention of Kurdish autonomy near its borders. Without the civil war, Turkey might have engaged in diplomatic efforts with Assad to ensure Kurdish movements were kept in check, or even resorted to military actions if necessary. The relationship between Syria and Turkey could have oscillated between cautious cooperation and strategic rivalry, depending on how both nations managed the Kurdish issue and other regional dynamics. For Iran, the absence of the conflict in Syria would have meant a different approach to solidifying its influence in the region. Without the need for military intervention, Iran might have relied more heavily on diplomatic and economic means to support Assad's regime and maintain its strategic corridor to Lebanon and the Mediterranean. This could have led to a more stable, yet subtly assertive Iranian presence in the Middle East. Iraq, on the other hand, would likely have experienced more stability, with less spillover from the conflict affecting its borders. The containment of Kurdish aspirations and the absence of ISIS's rise might have allowed Iraq to focus more on internal security and governance, contributing to a potentially more stable and prosperous region overall. In the absence of the Syrian Civil War, the roles of major global powers such as Russia and the USA in the Middle East would have taken different trajectories. Without the conflict, Russia might have had fewer opportunities for direct military intervention in Syria. However, Russia's strategic interests in the region would still have driven it to support Assad's regime through diplomatic and economic means, ensuring Syria remained an ally against Western influence. This support could have maintained a stable, yet strategically significant Syrian state, allowing Russia to retain its influence in the Middle East without the need for large-scale military involvement. For the USA, the lack of a civil war in Syria would have significantly altered its engagement in the region. Without the rise of ISIS and the subsequent need for intervention, the U.S. might have redirected its focus to other strategic areas within the Middle East, such as strengthening alliances with Gulf states or addressing the challenges posed by Iran's regional ambitions. The absence of the Civil War might also have led to more effective diplomatic efforts between the USA, Russia, and regional players, promoting stability and cooperation rather than conflict. This different geopolitical landscape would have impacted the overall balance of power in the Middle East, potentially fostering a more stable and less adversarial environment. In a world where the Syrian Civil War never happened, Israel's strategic considerations and security landscape would have been markedly different. The ongoing conflict in Syria provided a buffer, preventing a strong, unified Syria from potentially becoming a direct threat to Israeli security. Without the civil war, Israel might have faced a more robust Syrian state under Assad's leadership, altering its defense strategies and regional policies. The relationship between Israel and Syria could have ranged from cautious coexistence to heightened tensions, depending on Assad's approach and regional dynamics. Moreover, Israel would have had to closely monitor Iranian influence in Syria, as Iran's support for Assad would have remained a significant factor in the region's geopolitical balance. The broader Middle East would also have experienced significant changes without the Syrian Civil War. Countries like Saudi Arabia, Jordan, and Lebanon would have had to navigate a more stable and potentially more influential Syria. The absence of the conflict might have led to a different balance of power, with regional alliances and rivalries taking new forms. Sunni-Shia tensions, often exacerbated by the Syrian conflict, might have been less pronounced, allowing for a more cohesive regional landscape. Additionally, without the war's destabilizing effects, Syria could have played a more integral role in Middle Eastern diplomacy and peace processes, potentially contributing to a more stable and prosperous region. Looking at a world where the Syrian Civil War never happened, we can see the potential for a drastically different Middle East. Syria, under Bashar al-Assad, could have maintained political stability, pursued reforms, or navigated internal challenges in unique ways. Kurdish aspirations for autonomy would have followed a different path, potentially leading to negotiated settlements or regional tensions. The roles of Turkey, Iran, and Iraq would have evolved, impacting regional power dynamics. Global powers like Russia and the USA would have engaged with Syria differently, shaping the broader geopolitical landscape. Israel and its neighbors would have faced a different security environment, potentially leading to greater regional stability. This scenario underscores how much historical events shaped the course of the world and the alternate paths that could have been taken.
What is Syria's capital? Which sea borders Syria? What is Syria's currency? What is Syria's main religion? Which empire once ruled Syria? How well did you do? Share your score in the comments.